A major 2020 story broke over the weekend, and the assessments of the story could not be more different even within the left. So let's go through it. I'll give you both perspectives, and then I'll tell you what I think makes sense. Bernie Sanders has taken a first place lead in a historically important poll out of Iowa, the first state to vote in the 2020 Democratic primary. Pete Buttigieg had taken the lead in Iowa back in November. Bernie Sanders has now surged ahead with 20% support in the Des Moines Register CNN poll. Mayor Pete is at 16. Elizabeth Warren now actually in second place at 17. So it's Bernie 20, Warren 17, Mayor Pete 16, Biden 15. This poll is considered the gold standard by many. Bernie is leading in the poll. That is a very good sign for Bernie Sanders that he could go onward and upward to the Democratic nomination. That's one view, okay? There's another view which I'll present, and then we can discuss which is more relevant. The other view is, hold on a second, half of Iowa caucus goers are not even fully committed yet to any candidate at all. Bernie has a slight lead among the half that has decided. And in addition, there's the importance of Iowa. Friend of the show, Bill Scher, who many of our progressive viewers love to hate, has a piece out, and Bill argues Iowa matters less than ever in 2020. Now, please remember, I'm just the messenger here. I'm telling you what people are saying on both sides. And Bill says the proof that Iowa matters less than ever is that candidates are spending less time than ever in Iowa this time around. If you look at 2004, 2008, Bill says candidates were spending huge amounts of time in Iowa. This time, there's very little attention being paid because candidates don't really believe it matters that much. Biden hasn't been there lately. Warren stops by on weekends. Bernie is spending this entire week elsewhere, even though this is the first primary and it's coming up. And what Bill Scher argues is that the DNC did this on purpose. The DNC pushed up the primaries after Iowa and New Hampshire, Nevada and South Carolina specifically, to make the first two primaries matter less. There's also the issue that is a broader question, which is Iowa is so white, it tells us very little about what Democrats are going to do nationally when they vote. So these are the two sides. This is such great news. Bernie is going to get the nomination. The other side is Iowa's irrelevant. Bernie's leading within the margin of error. This doesn't matter. What is the truth about this? Number one, Iowa does matter less than many people are willing to admit. Bernie being in first place in Iowa, though, is a big deal because if the question is, can Bernie build momentum as the primaries get rolling, winning the first primary, proving his viability, there's no better start to a primary season than winning the first one. So it is important in terms of momentum. Iowa is a proof of concept for a campaign of sorts, even though the South Carolina numbers are going to be way different than Iowa regardless, because demographically South Carolina is so very different. So it's true. Iowa's very small. It's followed up very quickly by other primaries, and it's not very diverse. So the real takeaway here, and I hope, you get clicks by taking some hot take that's an extreme position on one side or the other. The takeaway is a boring one, which is there's no one statistic that tells us the full story about an election. I get all these people who email me. They say, David, no one's talking about this. The biggest gain in favorability in the first three primaries over the last 3 months was Andrew Yang. That means he's the guy who's going to win and the best person to run against Trump and a shoo-in for the nomination. Or I'll get another one. If you look only at polls done on weekends, Bernie does best, and weekend polling is more reflective of who will really vote. I'm making that one up. So thus, Bernie is the guy. There is no one metric or poll or calculation that tells us the whole real story. There's a degree of unpredictability here. There's a degree of incomplete information. Look at 2016, when we could say Hillary lost because she didn't go to Wisconsin in the last 2 months. Hillary lost because James Comey did that press conference about her. Hillary lost because people were furious that the DNC helped her get the nomination, and that got enough people to stay home that Trump won. Russian interference made it so that Hillary lost. The stock market performance in the 2 weeks before the all of these things arguably matter, and there's no one thing that we can say explains what happened or tells us what's going to happen in 2020. Life is just way more complex than these analyses account for. And so the takeaway is Bernie is leading in Iowa, and that's the best thing for him compared to being in second place or in third place or in fourth place. He can win. He has a lot of work to do. Other states will go very differently than Iowa. But what's clear is that anybody writing Bernie off at this point and saying he cannot win is just not operating in the world of fact. And that's the big takeaway. Now, after the break, corporate media is panicking about Bernie leading in Iowa. Donald Trump is panicking about Bernie leading in Iowa. We'll deal with that after the break. In the meantime, let me know what you think by leaving a reply as a comment if you're watching on YouTube, or send me a tweet at Pakman. Curious to hear what people think.